distinguished guests, learned alumni from different parts of the globe, our special friends from the host country Bangladesh, friends of GIST International Society, special mentioning of Mr. Biplab Dev and his team. We are simply mesmerized by the events, the magnanimity of the events that is going on here in the first global summit for this program. So we are, on behalf of Indian participants, we once again congratulate all the members from different parts of the globe. Amar Shonar Bangla, Ami Tomaye Bhalobashi. My golden Bangladesh, I love you. I was presenting a topic on environment and education under global perspective, with special emphasis on ecotourism and social benefit. So friends, environment education has many things to say about ecotourism. And on the other hand, environment education cannot really be a book-centric education. If you have to love the environment, if you have to inculcate environment, you have to have visualized the environment in a global perspective and then act locally with your own local specific problem. And today, on the various facets of environment education, we are considering the tourism sector with the sustainability in the backdrop. So responsible travel to natural areas. That is the first point for ecotourism, that conserves the environment and also look after the well-being of the people. That was the definition given by the International Ecotourism Society in 1990. And nowadays, we talk about sustainability. At the end of the Millennium Development Goal, now we are on SDGs. Up to 2030, UNESCO is thriving on Sustainable Development Goals under 17 headings. And all these 17 headings, all these 17 items of Sustainable Development Goals can be implemented in tourism. And you know, Bangladesh, India, they have high tourism potential, other countries too. What we need to tap this tourism in various names, that is sustainable tourism, in which the major common thing is to conserve the resources. In ecotourism, it is a nature-based tourism based on sustainability. So many definitions are there, but you see purposeful travel to natural areas that deals with the cultural and natural heritage, and without altering this heritage, by conserving the nature and providing economic opportunities for the stakeholders, especially for the local people. That must be in mind while we are talking about ecotourism. So there are the few principles of ecotourism. Its impact is a low impact. So when we talk about sustainability, we must talk about the low impact on natural resources. That is most important. And you have to generate, inculcate cultural awareness and environmental awareness, provide positive experiences, and have direct financial benefits to the stakeholders, and sensitivity to host country, that is local specific sensitivity, political, environmental, socio-cultural sensitivity. That must be taken into consideration while we dealt with ecotourism. So there are various ways to deal with. I am skipping this. We'll go for case-specific studies. So this is one important thing while we talk about sustainable tourism. This optimal use of environment, that is number one. Respect to socio-cultural heritage of the local area, that is a very important one. Tourists from various parts of the globe visited other parts, and this part must be taken into consideration to respect the socio-cultural heritage of the local people. Ensure long-term economic operations so that at the end of the day, the local people can be benefited. Informed participation, that is very important. Informed participation, there lies the importance of environment education. We must educate the different stakeholders. Maybe the tourist operator, maybe the tourist itself, maybe the So all sphere of life must be educated to how to deal with this sustainability in mind for ecotourism purpose. I say environmental education must be fulfilled to perform ecotourism, and the process of understanding the nature and the ecosystem on which we are acting, which we are operating our tourist base, that you can only conserve the resources if you can know the pros and cons of the particular ecosystem and natural areas. So that is most important in educational perspective. To foster clear awareness about economic, social, political and ecological concept, knowledge, values and attitude to protect and improve the environment, create opportunities for meaningful behavior, that is important. For meaningful behavior, you must have environmental literacy. And this environmental literacy is the key word for sustainable tourism. If you don't know, then by our own activities will hamper the spirit of the nature, spirit of the environment. So the 5 pillars, this is most important. You see here, sustainability management, I have told you. Social and economic benefits, respect to this cultural heritage, the environmental context, and most vital, it is enmeshed with education to learn about the nature, to learn about your own ways of doing things. There are several thematic areas of sustainable tourism. Promote and the policy framework that is most vital. Considering your natural heritage, natural area, ecosystem, you must have a sound policy to back with so that you can develop your activities, including your educational setup, based on that policy. Facilities for climate change, as you all know, a reduction of your carbon footprint is a must for every individual, for a sustainable tomorrow, for a better tomorrow. And in this aspect, tourism sector is not, it is very much inclusive. So you have to cover this topic, how to reduce your carbon footprint while doing tourism, ensure environmental sustainability, promote sustainable tourism as a mean for poverty elevation, that again comes in sustainable development goal, facilitates the promotional of culture, that's already discussed, assist the private sector, this is again important. Now, governments are doing, they are making policies, but you have to incorporate your private sector also to pump in the funds so that there will be a meaningful way of doing tourism. So here are some of the things what pollutes our environment. See the energy and greenhouse gas emission. So you have to reduce that. Your water consumption. In your hotel room, you must have noticed the green card talking about that if you need to reuse your towel, put it in that stack. If you want to change it, put it there. So that is a trade-off. In Japan, I've seen that if you can reuse your towel, you can reuse your resources inside the hotel, you can get some yen in lieu of that. So that is an incentive given, but this should be in our core of the heart so that we can do that. Waste management, very important. Take care of biological diversity, flora, fauna. That is very important. Many of the biological diversity are fastly in an endangered condition, extinct. And while we are doing tourism in the natural setup, they are to be taken care of, and effective management of cultural resources. So that's the most important thing, the sustainable development goal that as Madam Sunay of UNESCO has already told about. And you see here, poverty, no hunger, good health, quality education, clean water and sanitation, renewable energy, all these, good job and economic growth, innovation and infrastructure, big way for in tourism. Reduce inequalities. Inequalities lead to the destruction. Responsible consumption, that is very important to minimize waste generation, to minimize your energy consumption. Climate action, already told. Life below water, that is aquatic biodiversity, marine biodiversity, and life on land, that is terrestrial biodiversity. So while we are doing tourism, mostly we concentrate on coastal zones, we concentrate on hills and mountains. So in these two sectors, 14 and 15 are very important. Peace and justice, equally important. Today in the morning we talk about non-violent things. So that is very important again in the tourism sector also. And last but not the least, global partnership. We are all here to share our views and develop partnerships. So these are the sustainable development goals which we will carry through up to 2030 so that we can have a better tomorrow. And all these are applicable for ecotourism. So there are various routes of ecotourism already discussed. Risk. The ecosystem itself is at risk while we are doing tourism if you don't do it in a sustainable manner. The soils that can be polluted, the vegetation that can be a case of habitat loss, destruction of plants, water, there may be over exploitation of water, or there will be pollution of both surface water or groundwater, and of course the biodiversity, wildlife that are being destroyed in the name of tourism. So we have to take care of that. So these are the things: using resources sustainably, reducing overconsumption, maintaining biodiversity, integrating tourism into planning, supporting local economics, supporting local cultures, supporting heritage, consulting all stakeholders so that everyone gets benefited, training of staff, that is very important, various staff, including the tour operators, the local people, and the tourists. The staffs also are very much important because they will guide the tour. So if they are not in a sustainable, acting in a sustainable way, we will be suffering. And undertaking researches, that's, you need to get feedback and act according to this feedback to research out a better way for sustainability. So this is the pathway of sustainability. And of course, you see, it starts with the Rio Summit in 1992. Then again, Rio Plus 10 in Johannesburg in 2002. Then another major one, 2015, that's the Millennium Development Goal. And now up to 2030, we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goal. So all these for a better tomorrow, for a better tourism, for a sustainable tourism, and for a better future of humankind. You cannot really put tourism under any watertight compartment. Any event can be considered as a tourism event if you have a vision and a policy. Say for example, here I am talking about Santiniketan. This is, you know, of Rabindranath Tagore's innovation as education. And there, on the holy day, there is a Basant Utsav, where the festival of color, and lots of people visited on that day. So you can have a eventful tourism package for that purpose. So likewise, in your own country, you have certain events, what you can specify and go for tourism. Here you see the students of this university, it's a central university, is performing the color festival. We talk about the respect of cultural diversity and heritage, and here you see an example of cultural diversity. So you should promote such a way that the local people gets benefit. Here you see in the oh my God. This part you see there are artifacts and handicrafts from different parts of Bengal what are displayed for sale purpose. So that can be used up. And in the last two slides you see they are different indigenous people are performing this color facilities. Here you see the foreign tourists, they are also performing Holi Utsav. You see in the right hand corner, you are respecting the traditional culture. That is one thing in ecotourism. But in the middle slide you see, they are performing. It's not ill behavior, but you are not performing according to the traditional culture. So, you know, while talking about ecotourism, you must be careful about that. And this is also, there lies the importance. The tour operator must told beforehand to the tourist that this is the need of the day. So you accordingly do the things. This is another event. There are such a local specific events. A dance festival we call it Chau Nritta, Chau dance in a particular state in our country. And a lot of people are performing traditional dance. That can be used as a tourism perspective in a sustainable manner. Here you see, this is an age-old process, and if you can highlight, advertise the thing properly, you can use it for your tourism purpose. If you have a plan for tourism, you perform it in a sustainable tourism in a better manner. This is most important, carrying capacity. Majority of the time, tourists visited the places beyond the carrying capacity. You know, in every system we have a carrying capacity. If we cross that carrying capacity, it will be a case of degradation. And in ecotourism perspective, it is a case of degradation for nature and ecological system. So that should be considered also for the economic system too. However, in the name of education, you should consider this also, that most tourists are not a scientist, a botanist, or a historian. They are not neither ornithologists or natural historians. They have been there to enjoy their holidays. So, in the name of ecotourism, in the name of environment, in the name of environment education, too much proactive nature is not desirable. So, as far as possible, while we are explaining the things as a tour operator, as a tour guide, we must be in connection with the tourist spectrum. That is most important, otherwise tourists will be bored. So that is important thing, not always in the perspective of scientific attitude. with a sustainability in mind, but on the basis of tourist perspective, we must have to consider this. Local dance, local folklore, that should be considered. We are skipping because there is less time. This is one important, community ecotourism. You have to plan the things. You have to consider the protection of your natural areas, because that is your main thing. If you destroy your natural ecosystem, the tourism will be over. So you have to protect your natural ecosystem. You must get enough finance, either government or from private sector. You have to develop it in a sustainable process. And education and training is very important. Without educating the tour operator, without educating the things, and this education starts from the school system itself, because they are the future leader of the country. They are the future tourists. Today, here we see many volunteers. They are all young students of schools, and they will be reap the maximum benefit from this session, because in future they will develop their mind set up in such a way that sustainability cannot be taught in their classroom, but this will be in the core of the heart. So that is most important. And of course the partnership. Say for example, while talking about the things in Sundarbans, we can have easy partnership between the Indian Sundarbans and the Bangladesh Sundarbans, and we can develop partnership. And we are already developing it for research and development and other purpose, so both the sides get benefited. We are skipping. So mountain ecotourism. We have the mighty Himalayas in India, and this is also the part of the Nepal. So here we can go for that. But you see, this is not sustainability. In the mountain top in Darjeeling, you see the mushrooming of hotels. That's one way of, it's not a green tourism, not an ecotourism. So in that case, as I've told you about the carrying capacity, that is most important. In a particular area, how much tourism, how much things are to be allowed, that is to be taken into consideration. Here are different facets. Nowadays, the concept of eco-lodge is prevailing, and that means beside the hotels, we are also sharing the local people home. That is more sustainable, and you are respecting the local tourists, local people. Here you see this Teen Chule homestay. There are a lot of advertisement it's given. There are so many people who can do that. And I am with a cab driver who are there as a part of the stakeholder. The tourists are visiting different parts of the mountain resources, so this is in mind with the sustainability only. Here you see, you are getting tea garden in the first two slides. In mountain areas, tea garden is there, and while visiting tea garden, you must consider the importance of their ecological role, and talk about, beforehand you know about how teas are cultivated, how we are getting benefits. Then you have here you see landslides. There's a big impact in mountain tourism, so you must know how to contribute in a way that there will be no landslides. Biodiversity of the hills, you must know beforehand, at least a minimum way. The flora, the fauna, the birds, the animals. These are while you are dealing mountain ecosystem. The rhododendrons, we have flower festival in Sikkim. That's for this rhododendron purpose. That is another tourism. So you can utilize your natural resources to the maximum effort. There you see the local people respecting the cultural diversity of the mingling with the local people. Coastal ecotourism, you have Cox's Bazar, the largest uninterrupted beach. We have certain beaches, the corals, all there we can use this sustainability. See, this is here from Bangladesh, that Cox's Bazar, the St. Martin Island, the Teknaf Marine Drive, and a lot of people are going there. But you must consider that you have to protect the coastal biodiversity, you have to reduce pollution and all that. Similar thing in our country also. So this is a global perspective. Everywhere there are things which we can sit together, research and have a partnership. You see, beyond the carrying capacity, in the name of dolphin watch, they are destroying their coastal ecosystem. These are coral reefs, a rich heritage, the tropical rainforest of the coastal of the ocean. And if you don't use sustainably, these coral reefs will be gone. Here you see the wastes. So solid waste is a big problem, and you must take it into consideration to minimize your solid waste generation. Students must be incorporated in your framework to talk about how to learn about environment from an informal context. Coastal tourism, the beginning starts from here in the excursion, field excursion. Here you see the GIST. Under the GIST banner, we have a beach cleaning program. Video one. So for the seagulls, you see, so these are the things how you can utilize your mind. The red crabs, these are the zones of the biodiversity. Just 2 minutes. The young people are incorporated into environment education so that they can become the future leader, future perspective of things. Hilsa, another important things. By giving a journey right from the mouth to the migratory route, you can develop a Hilsa tourism fishery. Here students are incorporating that. Here you see how coastal zones are destroyed in the name of forming tourist lodges, and that destroy the whole thing. These are violating the coastal regulatory zones. You are forming hotels there. Olive ridley turtle, the migratory turtle, they come for nesting. You can use this whole purpose for a tourism purpose. There are lots of things, and these are the local people who contribute that. These are Sundarbans. Both India and Bangladesh can get benefit. These are the tour operators, the cab operators is one particular sector. So you can utilize these things as in your tourism purpose. You are supporting local people, fishermen, local culture. Bird watching, here you see these people who are in the boat, they were initially poacher of the bird. But through effort, they are bring back into the main fold, and now they are the boat operator, no more poaching of birds. So these are the part of these things. So with this, I end up the things with a big thank you. Ami Banglaয় গান গাই, আমি বাংলার গান গাই, আমি আমার আমিকে চিরদিন এই বাংলায় খুঁজে পেতে চাই, খুঁজে পাই. That means, in the core of the heart, you have a vision about your own country perspective, but build partnership. And environment education must be learned through various perspectives, formal and informal setup. Thank you for a patient hearing. Thank you.